Have you ever had an idea that was so clear it was like a 3D movie? Have you ever told a friend about the idea and they told you, wow, if you could only make that into a business, you would be rich? Sound familiar? Welcome to Knowledge to Currency. I'm your host, Senator Porter, with my co-host, Roosevelt Williams III, and we're here to help you take action. This is free information. We only ask one thing: build a strong foundation and mindset. We have insight to help you get started. Most of us just need a push. All right, we're in season 3, Knowledge to Currency. I'm your host, Senator Porter, with my co-host,
Roosevelt Williams III.
And we have DeMarcus Paul here. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Doing great.
So I found him on Instagram, and he's a really, really awesome BMX biker.
Thank you.
Or I guess what would you call it?
I mean, that's
BMX
I think that's related.
athlete?
That's a good way to look at it. I mean, BMX biker, BMX rider,
Yeah.
BMXer, all of the above.
Okay, cool. So how'd you get into doing what you do?
I had an older cousin.
Okay.
He really wasn't doing tricks. I
Okay.
just remember seeing him when I was a lot younger, just like jumping on and off a curb.
Okay.
I think I was probably like 9, 10 maybe.
Yeah.
And he had a bike that was, I guess, considered a BMX bike. And
Okay.
I asked him, could I ride it? No, he wouldn't let me ride it. So fast forward a few years later, I saw X Games on TV.
Okay.
And I saw somebody doing something similar to what I saw my cousin do. And I guess a year or two after that, I got a bike. So
Okay.
yeah, that's how I pretty much got into it.
What kind of bike was your first bike?
Oh, a Mongoose.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Serious.
Walmart, Mongoose. Mhm.
Man. So then what was the first trick you landed where you was like, man?
First trick, definitely like a bunny hop. I think
Okay.
it was I've always been, from my understanding, like being super young, and I've always been into bikes, but I didn't
Yeah.
really know it. So I would be riding a bike and doing whatever, but not really like trick based, but just riding a bike. So the thing that I was most familiar with was a bunny hop, which was
Yeah.
I saw my cousin do. So
Right.
once getting that is like the foundation for taking it to the next level. So if you could bunny hop, then you can move forward from there. So a bunny hop.
Really? I could bunny hop.
Yeah.
You
So
bunny hop?
Yeah, absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I could pop a willy too.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I could pop a wheel. I remember
See?
riding wheelies a long way, but that's my extent. I couldn't.
That's where it starts.
flip the bike around like that.
Because if you guys come from like a very extended family, having all your cousins and uncles and whatever around, everybody could pick up any bike and do a wheelie on it.
Right.
So that's pretty much how.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was your first bunny hop, then
bunny
the
hop,
wheelie.
then wheelie and stuff like that.
So this for the audience that doesn't know, where are you from?
I'm originally from Albany, Georgia.
Okay.
I reside in San Diego right now, and I've been here for about almost 11 years.
Nice.
So a lot of BMX experts in Albany, Georgia.
No. There were a crowd of dudes maybe a few years older than me that I came to realize that that was riding BMX and riding dirt jumps and all these different things that I didn't even know they exist. And for myself, I'm originally from Albany. I was born in Albany, but there's a real small town, like maybe 20 miles outside of that, called Dawson, Georgia.
Okay.
And Dawson is like maybe 3 traffic lights, like real small
It's
town,
very
real
small.
small.
Okay.
And I went to like an all segregated school.
Okay.
And when I transferred from there and moved back to this city that was like a little bit bigger, but it was more diverse.
Yeah.
I started to see like people that didn't look like me, all these different, like just different
people.
friends now. So
Yeah.
then being exposed to BMX on that base, where not just my cousin, but white kids, other black kids, I was like, whoa, like everybody ride BMX, right? So it's kind of like that's how it all started.
So then, so how'd you start to practice on moves and stuff? Because that, I mean, sure was a different time.
Watching
then.
TV, it's like,
Really?
yeah,
So it's like basketball, like watch a
Mm-hmm.
move and then you go try to do it.
yeah, because like we were saying, there weren't any people that was like necessarily doing it when I started that I was
Yeah.
around, but when I moved to that city, there were a few guys that were older than me and a few guys that became friends with me that were already kind of starting to ride bikes, and we kind of like I guess learned together. So
Yeah.
whatever we would watch on X Games, there was a TV show called Blue Torch that would come on after school. We would watch that and then like go in the backyard and jump a dirt jump and start trying tricks. And,
Wow.
yeah.
So what did your parents say?
My mom, like, ooh, that's a good one. That's a real good one. My mom, she didn't know what I was doing. I think she was kind of like oblivious to it because where I'm from, it's all about recreational sports.
Right.
It's only basketball, football,
baseball,
a
track.
little bit of soccer. Yeah, definitely track. I played all of those, except for like track though. Like,
Sure.
yeah, all of those.
Right.
And yeah, so for years and years and years, she thought I was just like outside, just playing around, which kind of is considered like part of like childhood, but it was like so foreign to how I grew up. So yeah, so when she realized, she was like, "So you've been doing this all this time?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Right.
So yeah.
So then, what was like your first competition that you got into?
My first real contest, I'll say I was maybe 15. So it's like maybe a year and a half, a year after I started riding. And they had this like little contest at a skate park in Atlanta.
Okay.
So a few of my friends that skateboard and ride bikes, their parents were always taking places because they were so engulfed into that world.
Yeah.
And it didn't exist in my world, obviously. So went to a contest, did okay, just like a beginner. And from there, I don't think I was ever competitive at bike riding. I was only competitive at like basketball, football, and baseball. Because
right.
It's like me being a black man and playing basketball, you talk trash.
Right.
You like saying things. You're proud of what you're good at.
Right.
And in BMX, it's the first thing I've ever done that didn't require a team. So
right.
It was like all self-driven.
Right.
So it was kind of like I had to take a step back and learn to exist with other people that aren't like, even though you're in a contest,
yeah,
you're still like high-fiving, handshakes, and pushing each other forward versus it being like, I'm going to knock you over or
right.
that. So all these different things.
So you want to see them succeed as well.
Right.
But you're competing with yourself in a way.
Right. To me, it was like a form of opening yourself up to learn because it's somebody that's like, if you're competing in a contest, people come from different walks of life. Without thinking about it, that's what naturally happened.
Sure.
It's like you meet people and the way BMX worked, especially with the internet now, but back then it's like you meet a person at a contest, you guys are instantly friends because you guys ride a bike,
right?
Not because it's a team. So
right.
It's like that's one person you're connected with. So whenever I would go to Atlanta or if I ever go to New York or something like that, you'll always have contact with that person.
Sure.
So that opened up the doors for different contests and different spots you get to ride and all these different things.
So then when did you figure out that you were really good at it?
When a lot of my friends would get uptight with me for not wanting to go party with them.
Oh, really?
I think all of us were really good, but I think I was kind of more focused on it because I felt like that was the first time I was able to like focus on something that didn't involve anybody pushing me or involve my family being there or having friends around. So something I could really do by myself.
So you could just be in the backyard by yourself just trying to move over and over and people be like, hey, let's go kick. And you be like, nah, I got to get this down.
Yeah.
Okay. So then how do you decide on, all right, I'm doing this particular trick. How do you design tricks, or do you design your own tricks, or do you?
It's a tricky one. I think BMX has been around for a really long time. You have guys that has laid the foundation way before I came.
Sure.
And for myself, like watching the blueprint and how those things were done, and maybe more so now being able to do certain things that could have possibly been done in the past, but kind of putting a little spin on it or doing it on a different spot or doing it in a different way. So I definitely kind of feel like I've done a few things that had never been done, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to like state that claim whenever you don't know everybody.
That's true. That's true. You got a question?
Oh, absolutely. How did the conversation begin about you getting sponsored, or how did your first conversation begin when you began to monetize a bike, you being a rider?
That came super later in life. I'm a lot older than a lot of people know. And, so all the way up, like I started, like I would say 13, 14, really get into bike riding, right? So all the way up until maybe I was 24, I've always just rode my bike. Didn't really care to have sponsors, but like the very first sponsor I ever had was like a t-shirt brand, and they were called Sea and Sky Clothing, and it was kind of like in the MySpace era where it was like those early stages where you can see whether it's a photo or maybe a video of a person riding, and that company will reach out, or you would reach out to that company. And I think the company reached out to me about being a part of it, and it was like, be a part of us. We'll give you a signature shirt, meaning that you get to design your own shirt. We'll sell it, and that's a good stepping stone to, I guess, catapulting yourself into the BMX industry.
That's right. And how has that evolved to where you are now? Because I'm interested on, just sponsorship, advertising. How are you able to monetize, bike riding? Because obviously you're doing it and you've been effective at it.
So that to go off of the first sponsorship into when I'm then 24 years old, like I never pursued BMX until I was working a 9 to 5, working at a chicken processing plant, and working long hours, and fell asleep driving home. I lived an hour and a half away from where I worked.
Oh, wow.
So worked the graveyard shift all night, fell asleep driving home, didn't get hurt, car totaled, lost the apartment, lost the car, and it was like, well, what am I gonna do now?
Right.
So looked up all the places in the world that had like BMX industry, or just like the mecca for BMX, and more people riding. In San Diego was like the mecca, and it has way more professional bike riders that live here than anywhere else.
Wow.
And I wanted to come here, so all the little things I did have, I just got rid of them and moved here. That was beginning of 2012.
Oh man, he was ambitious, huh? Just took off on your goal.
It's kind of hard to say. I think looking back at it, I would look at it as being ambitious, but like when you in it, it's a different thing. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
And then being in a single parent household, my mom was like, "Oh, what are you doing? Like, what are you trying to do?" But at the same time, I was an adult. I think that was like a defining moment for myself to be like, all right, if I'm gonna learn how to do whatever without depending on anybody, then I got to do it like this. So moving to California, and kind of started to be more contests, and like San Diego or California in general just got way more options for anything. So you got BMX, of course, you got skateboarding, all those different things, but you have like the skate parks and all these different events, like just stuff just happening, and it's a normal thing. So bike riding is almost like a recreational sport here,
Sure.
as opposed to where I'm from. So it blending in, just finding where I fit in this really big city opposed to where I'm from. So coming here, going to those contests, getting to meet people that may have companies, that may run companies and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, cool. Then when you don't have to do good at contests, but as long as you're friendly enough to be around, you can not necessarily just hold conversation, but you can hold your own, especially when it comes to riding. And that turns into like, hey, would you want to like have some of the stuff that we have, and you can wear it if you want to. You don't have to promote it. And that turns into like video parts, and video parts is basically like a compilation of videos that, or video clips that you film, put together and put on YouTube or on a DVD or whatever. And that's how I got started here.
Dang.
That's amazing.
I was gonna say, so did you know Tony Hawk was from here?
No, I didn't.
Do you know that now or never?
I do.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I do.
So at the time, you was like, I'm moving to San Diego, and you didn't know like the god of skateboarding was
No, it's all like that's a good question too, and I can kind of like give a little insight on the skateboard, bike riding stuff. Skateboarders do not like bike riders, and that is it's a very real thing. And I think it's like almost me being from the South, I saw a lot of firsthand racism. So for myself, I identify a lot of stuff real quick. Yeah. But that's what I mean by like losing the ego, taking a step back to realize what it actually is. And so when it comes to skateboarding, I got a high level of respect for it, but I don't too much indulge into that industry that much because of the dislike they have for something that I purely love to do. Doesn't mean we can't coexist, but it's a real thing. But for myself, like Tony Hawk is an icon. Like he's an icon. You can't deny that. So for myself, I didn't know he was from here. Yeah, he's from Carlsbad. I definitely played the Tony Hawk game growing up. It's like so you have to. That's what I mean. It's like knowing those things, but I didn't know he was from here.
Yeah, so, he's from Carlsbad.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's why so many skate parks here, and that's why probably
his foundation probably. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's why he's very passionate about having parks all around the area. So. So then who would be like the Tony Hawk of BMX biking?
Good question.
That's a really good question. There's a few guys. one that stick out the most to me is Matt Hoffman. He's a guy that's equivalent to maybe Tony Hawk's age, but I feel like he carried BMX on his back to bring it back alive in like the early 90s where it faded out. Mm-hmm. And there weren't really companies involved, but he was in his backyard building a crazy ramp that getting towed in on a dirt bike to go as high as he can and kind of like not necessarily set the world record for everybody, but for himself to see how much he could push himself. And I think that kind of drew people in to be like, wow, he's on a whole other level of thinking. And within that, you had guys that wanted to do that but may not have been able to do it to that extent. And I think that transferred to other departments of BMX or other genres in BMX, such as vert riding, which is like the half pipe. Yep. Ramp riding, which is like the box jumps and different stuff like that. Then street riding, which is more so what I like. Yeah. So all those different genres came from that guy. So Matt Hoffman, Dave Mira, and
I heard of both
icons.
So then when you do a trick or whatever, you figure out a location. Are you just like looking at it like how kind of like the producers look at music, they see the beats and stuff. So when you see something, you're like, man, I could write off that.
Of course. It's one of those things that I never turn off now. Like I think until the day I die, I don't think that I could ever look at something without thinking about that you can ride your bike on it. So I think that is, and I mean, such as an athlete, right? Yeah. So when I played basketball, shooting guard, and it's like anything I would see, and it's like, I could dunk that or I could shoot that. Like it never turns off.
Because some of the stuff he rides off is crazy, bro. Like he'll do a trick, he'll spin the bike around, ride on it, come down. I'm like, what?
Right. Oh, I could imagine. We were talking earlier before the show. Anything you do long enough and consistent enough, you get great at it. Yeah, you've been riding over 20 years.
22 years.
Or 23 years. No, that's amazing. So I can already see, we got a phenom at the table. My question is, who has sort of mentored you or shaped you during their whole growth as being like a BMX rider? You have like any like a mentor or someone that was like a little bit ahead of you, like besides your cousin you said, that's kind of like, said these are the tricks, this is where you go, this is how you do it, this is how you be safe at it?
No, I think that kind of came later. Like later after I kind of got really deep into BMX, like as in like the career wise, and
right.
That because I mean it is a self-driven sport. There's nobody around you that's like, especially where I'm from, that kind of existed on that same level in a sense of like knowing how things work. So coming here, I got to see a lot of different things, such as other pros and watch how they operate. Yeah, and not. They're kind of, they'll help you, but to a certain extent, because they may not know how to share certain information, because to a degree it's almost frowned upon to share certain things because you don't want to be looked at as in like you want more out of something when you should just be having fun. But where I came from with it was that I came from working a job. So I wasn't a professional bike rider when I was 16. Right. So it's like, well, how do I figure out how to make this work? It doesn't have to be money wise, but how do I like make it fun and eventually make money doing it? And the foundation for that was like, I gotta be realistic with myself. Riding a bike isn't always fun. Doing something you love to do isn't always fun. You gotta find the fun in it, because when you're passionate about it and you care about it, it's gonna come with some struggles. Right. And those struggles, you gotta be willing to push through them. And such as riding and trying to get that trick over and over and over again, spending 3, 4, 5, 6 hours trying to film one clip, let alone trying to learn one clip. So you have, if you're filming it, that's you and another person filming it. So that time is spent between two people, but the time you spend by yourself practicing just one thing is what kind of grounds you enough to take in any kind of information, whether it's said to you or you're watching it. And after watching it and like practicing those things, just watching how people operate. The guys that are at the top of the game that live in San Diego, guys that I would look up to that I would only see online, like watching the stuff that they do, and it's like, okay, I don't have to do it the way they're doing it because it won't be possible because we're different people. Right. But finding out what works for me and finding the lane that I could penetrate.
What's the longest you spent on perfecting a trick?
If I say just like one trick, there's always room for growth. Right. But I had times where I go to school the next day and can't lift my arms. I can't even. You know, I would say that would be like it's a trick called a bar spin. And I think where you jump and you spin the bars around, and to be able to do it to a degree where it looks effortless, I kind of wanted to do it to the point where I felt comfortable that I can do it with my eyes closed and have to think about it. I would literally go to school the next day, can't pick up my arms, like scraping myself off the ground, like doing all these different things. Not because I knew something would come of it, but just more so it's like, well, if I don't do this, then I don't know, like, I don't know what will happen. But like trying it over and over and over again, then looking back at it now, it was like, oh, that made complete sense. Just like you said earlier, time spent on something is gonna help perfect it or make it better.
Right. Yeah, man. It was one trick when I used to have my my Kmart bike. It was red. It wasn't no dyno or nothing like that. But it had 4 pegs on it, and I used to sit on my pegs, grab my seat, and like try to like spin my bars, try to like land it. But it used to be dangerous. Because if it don't land it can go real bad. Yeah. But I always wanted to perfect that trick, but I didn't get around to it. So I just applied you know what I mean, for having the mental fortitude to stick with it and make it happen. I could do a wheelie, little bunny hop over my little bricks and all type of stuff like that. But I used to like to do that spin, but I couldn't land it, man.
That's good. Like that's that. I mean, I kind of feel like there's always room to be able to do it. You know, I think it's like,
oh, it's over for me, man.
Yeah, but you got a son and a daughter, so
nice.
They might get into.
But man, like, what is that trick called? Man, I just seen her. Is it a name for that?
I mean, that probably would be. It's a bar spin, but it's just a different way. It would be more if you're standing on the pegs and holding onto the seat, just like a pickup bar, and it's just more different. It's different elements put into place with that because it's not like hands-on grips and hopping then doing the bar spin. It's like feet on pegs, one hand on the seat, picking up and bar spinning and catch it with the same hand.
Yeah.
With the regular one, you hop, you throw, and you catch with the opposite hand. So it's almost throwing and stopping. So,
wow. Yeah, it's over for me, man.
You're not doing that. He coming in here on crutches like next week.
I like how you was able to break down the functions of it because, because you like you said, you can spin it, catch it, flip it, all type of.
Because
so
just
much.
like you said, like whenever you would pick it up and like hold onto the seat, you've already like you're doing something hard already while using one hand. So to catch that, you got to catch it with the same hand.
Man.
So when you reverse that, it's like when you have both hands on the grips. Even though this trick would be considerably a little harder, but you still have a stopping hand. So when you throw it, whether you're right hand or left hand, if you throw a left hand, you throw it, but you stop it with this hand and put your other hand back on. So it's like almost like muscle memory. Yeah.
Dang. So then, you always going to do street tricks, or you'll do any of the other contests?
I came from riding only dirt jumps, like growing up in
for real,
like riding only dirt jumps, like doing all the
like 30 feet in the air, some crazy
I would say
stuff.
It's more like 12 feet in the air.
Still
like,
high. That's still high.
Like pretty good distances and stuff like that. Just like anything you could think of in the sense of dirt jumping, where you would see just people in the woods, because in the South it's like trees and pine trees everywhere. So it's like you're in the woods just jumping these big dirt jumps, and that's what I grew up riding. And we didn't get a skate park or any of that until I was like 18. So I'm 14 doing these things, and street riding was introduced to me through watching VHS videos of these guys by the name of like Edwin De La Rosa, which is a guy he's from New York, and he's street rider. You know, New York is a concrete jungle, basically. You know? So it's like everything in front of you is something that to them would be rideable, but it would be street riding. So seeing those videos, and then when I was old enough to maybe ride my bike to school, I was like, oh, there's a picnic table. These guys are jumping off of picnic tables. So on the way to school, I would ride street. Then when I got to school, I ride street on the way home, then go back and ride the trails, like the dirt jumps. So it was like that. Then we eventually got a skate park. So it was like, oh, we have dirt jumps, street, and skate parks. And the trick you talked about is basically considered flatland, which is like another art in itself. So doing all those things kind of make you a well-rounded bike rider to a degree. Yeah. And I would say guys my age and up, and I think a lot of young guys still do it, but have more like across the board style of riding where they didn't like just subject themselves to one thing. Like now for myself, I am a professional street rider, but I can also ride dirt jumps. I also ride box jump. I can ride a vert ramp, all these different things. So
you done the thing where they jump into the foam?
Oh yeah, that came later in life, because it's like that's a training. Like it's more so teaching you how to do tricks and making it a little bit safe for the people that can participate in those camps that they have for that. That was I don't know if you ever heard of it, but there's this camp called Camp Woodward, and they have a few around the U.S. and like some all over the world. But I used to want to go there when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Really expensive. Mom was like, "Why would I send you there? Like, why would I send you there?" Because she still didn't know that I was doing tricks. But yeah, I didn't go to Woodward for the first time until I was a full adult and sponsored. So 2013. So like,
how much does it cost?
It was $1,000 a week.
Okay, so you got to
well,
be
at the time,
serious.
At the time, it was $1,250 a week. So,
yes, you
can't just be in there, you know, pooting and giggling.
Exactly.
You got to be in there working.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Where could we, support you at? Like, where do you go to practice? Where do you go? Not to tell you like your secrets, but where do you go to perfect your craft?
I do spend a lot of time in downtown because I think.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, a big part of me still feel super close to anybody that work a 9 to 5. So a big part of me like to exist around that versus it being like I like riding with other pros, but at the same time it hits a wall for me. So I do have a lot of friends that work 9 to 5s and also ride BMX. And right now I'm fortunate enough to only ride BMX. So I do have a lot of time to like focus on what I want to do throughout the day and what I want to ride. And for a lot of my friends, it's easier for them to meet up in downtown because it's like it's like letting everything hang out after work. You know, it's like I come here, I get to be around people, but also I can just float through the city, wind in my face.
Nice.
Watch people, watch activities and like different stuff like that, but also coexist with what the day-to-day life is for people.
Now, be candid with me, man. You wear a helmet or no helmet?
No, I'm not against wearing helmets, but I currently don't wear a helmet like for everything. But when I feel like I should, when it comes to learning certain things, I will put on a helmet.
Nice.
I do promote safety though. I believe in if you feel like you should wear a helmet, you should wear a helmet. Like don't look at it as being you're too cool to wear a helmet. That's not the case. I think for any person watching that don't understand like the nature of BMX, they would look and say, you should be wearing a helmet. It's like, yeah, like it's crazy that you would get in the car and put your seatbelt on, but also trust the person next to you not to run into you. It's like, but the difference is that I'm putting myself in this situation that I practice over and over and over again. So, but I do highly promote wearing a helmet to people, but I personally don't all the time, no.
And then you don't have like an agent or anything? You're your own agent?
I tried it a little bit. I'm not against it, but I do currently focus more so on handling a lot of stuff myself.
Sure.
I think that came with just like age and not wanting to be stubborn, but also don't want to get anybody the short end of the stick. You know, I think if I want to meet somebody in the middle, then I should be able to get in the best part of me and vice versa. And if those situations don't work out, then like if we're not on the same page, right? If this agent may think I should give this amount of percent when they don't understand that I've been doing this for a very long time,
right?
Then I need to give it my all to move forward versus like doing a little bit here and a little bit there. Then it's like, well, my days aren't really structured to fit like it's just a normal calendar. It's more so in the sense of like I've created this free time that I have, and the free time isn't free time because I treat it like a job. So it's more so like, all right, like I'm gonna do this, and not that I figure out, but I got a game plan, and that game plan has failed me a lot of times. But I can count on myself enough to understand that if I got myself in that situation, then I can face it. Because I don't want anybody to make a guarantee to me if I can't make a guarantee to myself. You know, so
that's beautiful.
Shout out to Eric Thomas for that. Like,
that's good.
My guy, yeah.
You're beautiful.
I was gonna say, so do you have any upcoming like events or any upcoming what do you call it?
Like contests and video stuff.
Yeah.
I do have a few things like not really necessarily contests. I would go every now and then. Mm-hmm. I have been. I'm thankful that I've been able to check a lot of those goals off the list, such as X Games.
Okay,
nice. So with being able to check that off the list, everything else is just like collateral. You know, it's like thanks, appreciate it. So with that, I focus more so on just like going to different cities and maybe filming video parts or Instagram stuff. You know, it's like stuff that's quick turnaround time while still be able to film the long-term projects in between. So one of those long-term projects is something that I just finished like now maybe 5 months ago. We were filming for like 6 years. So that finally got wrapped up, and I have 2 other videos from Animal Bikes, which is a parts company out of New York.
Okay.
That I'm currently working on a video for them. So the 6-year part should be out at the beginning of January. But all that still will be advertised on Instagram and stuff like that. So
you should give them your Instagram handle.
Your handles.
My Instagram handle is DeMarcus Paul, DeMarcus Paul, and that goes for same thing with YouTube. Like wherever you search it, Google, YouTube, Instagram, it all pop up the same.
That's what's up.
Anything else?
Why would you say, man? What's like a quote, man? How do you get in the zone, man? When it's just, like you said, you got your face in the wind, sun at the back. Like what do you tell yourself, man, before you hit that trick, man? Give us some inspiration, man. And after you landed, man, how do you, congratulate yourself?
All right, got you. I see I can break that down. So the way I look at it, I don't use motivation. I don't use like determination or any of it. It's more so like a light switch. It's kind of like being able to do it without having to have a string of motion behind it. Like no type of like hype man. Like all those things are appreciated, but at the same time, practicing those things that you can do purely by yourself, sober, sane. That goes from whenever you ride away from it. Being able to hear yourself, being able to hear your heartbeat, being able to really know what it feels like to scare yourself often, every day, all the time, and ride away from that. And I have a whole family, so now it isn't just about me. Like a lot of those decisions that I make when it comes to companies, I don't include my family in it, but I hold it. So it's like for myself, I'll keep it here. But a lot of decisions I make now are currently based on like how this will affect when I go home. So when I go home, I need to be able to leave everything on the table and leave bike riding where it is, so my kids can be themselves without me getting in the way. So motivation, no, I believe in like there's a system where you get to leave everything where it is. So if my daughter need this and my oldest son need that, my smallest son need this and my girlfriend need that, I need to be able to take all those things. As a man, we house information. We have to control our emotions and all those things, but that should never bleed over into me riding. So I have to kind of be able to like put that to the side and leave it where it is. And that switch should be able to be flipped on. So it's kind of like whenever I want to do something, I have to trust myself and trust the skill versus like trusting the hype. So be able to control yourself, control your breathing, control your heart, like not being scared. But if you are scared, trusting your skill over being scared. So that's how it usually works for me.
Powerful.
Dope, right?
Powerful. Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
And
yes,
well,
sir.
we've our time has expired. I really want to tell you, I appreciate you coming out.
Thanks
I know,
for having me, man.
Hit you up on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
And you came through. And anything that we could do to elevate you, that's really what the whole purpose of the show. I thought it would be dope to have a professional BMX rider.
Appreciate it.
Not something you hear every day.
Right.
And I hope you have, tremendous success, and anything we could do to help you, let us know.
And vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I know you guys are like real active, especially yourself in the community, especially the community I live in.
Right.
I'm always down to help. And when I say help, I mean be able to help in an actual meaningful way, not just on the broader picture, but in the sense of in between. Because like the beginning and the end to me are kind of like the things that exist, but the stuff in between is what makes a difference.
Yeah.
So
Facts.
like being able to help in those critical times where you feel like you don't know which way to go, like stuff like that, stuff that I think we've all had to kind of go through. And, so whenever you need me.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
So that's a wrap of the episode. Thanks so much for coming on Knowledge to Currency, and we'll see you at the next.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.